However, what if there was this magical piece of paper we all carried in our pocket, and it was the paper of truth, and you absolutely could not tell a lie on it? It was physically impossible. Everybody could trust anything that was written on this piece of paper. Now, if you had a list of all the people you've paid back, and maybe that guy knew some of those people, and he knew they were pretty smart and wouldn't lend their money to a dumb guy, and you just had a crazy perfect record of paying everybody back like you said. And on the piece of paper you wrote that you will pay the stranger back plus interest. The stranger would immediately go from, "Hell no, I don't know you," to, "Sure, let's do it. Here's 10 grand. Do you need any more?" That's what your credit report does to banks. It's a reliable way of looking at your reputation and trusting a complete stranger. Who makes the credit score? FICO and Vantage are basically the two scores that exist out there. FICO is made by Fair Isaac Company, and Vantage is basically a Frankenstein made from the three major dickhead bureaus to get scores without having to pay FICO. Vantage is cheaper to provide, but it's trash. Nobody uses it for actual credit applications, and it's usually 20 to 30 points off from what FICO would provide, so don't be fooled by it. Certain companies give it to you to look like the hero, providing you a score for free, but it's useless. You should always check whether or not the score you're looking at is FICO or Vantage. What is good versus bad score? Like I have said before, score doesn't necessarily matter. No one will deny you based on a few points going up and down, but it will show a ballpark range for what stage your credit is in, which helps lenders make approval decisions. 50 to 850 is excellent. You most likely have 5+ primary accounts, over 2 years of age, high limits, low utilization, maybe around below 10% per account. No negatives, all 100% payments. 700 to 749 is good. Usually what keeps people here instead of reaching the excellent range is not having enough accounts. They may have a thin file of less than 3 primary accounts, they may be slightly under 2 years of age, and most commonly, someone may just be held down here because they have utilization above 10% even if everything else about their credit profile is A1. 650 to 700 is fair. Most people can get to this range by accident as long as they're not delinquent with anything. They may have credit simply due to having student loans, a retail tour credit card that they randomly got, a car loan they just stumbled into, etc. They usually would have credit but have very little knowledge about how it actually works or how to fine-tune it. They're just happy when they check it. It's not horrible. Usually they have no understanding of how to make sure utilization reports low, so that can be something holding them from going over 700. Or they've had beginner credit cards for a while but never requested increased limits. Some people also routinely close their credit cards due to ignorance because they want simplicity and they don't understand the consequences of that. This is the equivalent of a C, barely passing, but it's passing. I will add, somebody can be in this range and still get better approvals than someone in the 750 plus range because even though their score is lower, they might have awesome accounts under their belt like paid off cars or a mortgage or one credit card that's got utilization but it's a top tier bank and high limit. Someone with a 670 could get a 25k credit card whenever they want if they have a real credit history behind them, and especially if they have bank relationship. Many of these people do all their banking with one bank and they are rewarded pretty well for it when they need something. 300 to 650 is bad. You basically have to have some sort of negative mark on your credit profile to be in this range. You most likely need credit repair, lates, collections, missed payments, any negatives at all may keep you down here. To dip below 550, there is something seriously wrong, similar to how if someone gets an F in school, they have to basically be constantly messing up, skipping class, not studying, versus one-time occurrences. I have seen cases where someone has utilization so high that they are at a 650 simply due to that, and once they pay off all their heavy balances, they appear with a 700 plus score. What if I'm already at a pretty good score from this chart? Why do I need to still care about improving it? Many people that form their question in this specific way are most likely being deceived by their score. They are either looking at their score via Vantage model through something like Credit Karma, and usually they think they beat the system by being able to see a 700 plus score while only having one credit card, one loan for example. They most likely have a super thin file with a 1 to 2 account, and they fear the idea of taking on more responsibility with accounts, so they like the idea of staying exactly how they are. Having a thin credit file is negative for 2 major reasons. 1, your entire score is teetering on a weak foundation. It's like a toothpick. If any of those few accounts were to close for any reason in the future, even due to a complete unforeseen mishap, Like a bank pulling it without your consent, you would be knocked to ground zero. You should never give a single account the power to ruin your credit that badly. You are not diversified in this position. And 2, banks do not just look at a score to approve you. They pop the hood to check your actual report details, and if they see your 750 score only being held up by only 1 to 2 accounts, they might see that as underwhelming. It's often that people in this position go for a credit product and are told that they don't have enough depth to their credit history. Here is a simple way to think about why depth is important. 1 account held for 5 years is 60 months of good payments shown on your credit report. 5 accounts held for 5 years is 300 on-time payments shown that you were able to responsibly make. Also, if 1 of 60 payments were ever late, that's a much bigger percentage compared to 1 of 300. Depth matters. I also use the example phrase of, you don't get applause for juggling 1 ball. It's incredibly easy to handle only 1 or 2 accounts, and the banks know that. So, they want to see that you can responsibly handle multiple accounts to know that you are financially capable. It's hard, but that's a good thing. Luckily, there are actually plenty of ways to responsibly handle multiple accounts without any added stress. We will get into how to manage all of your accounts later. Remember, a score can be deceiving. Make sure you have an actual solid report. We will talk about the difference soon. Just remember, a credit report is a list of all the accounts you have, which is where your score comes from. How many types of FICO Vantage scores are there? FICO actually has 16 different score subversions. The most commonly used scores are the base versions of FICO 8 and FICO 9. Credit cards most commonly pull FICO Bank Card Score 8, auto loans pull FICO Auto 8, mortgages still pull FICO 2. These scores weigh your exact same report details completely differently based on the product that they're meant for. Some places are starting to use not only the newest FICO version, FICO 10, but also the T version of it, standing for Trended Data, meaning the score doesn't just take into account your current month balances and standings, it assesses up to 24 months in the past. Insane. This will most likely start to be common practice, but banks trust FICO 8 the most still, and it's also cheaper than FICO 10. This trended aspect of a score model means if you have maxed out bills for a year and then all of a sudden have cleared balances, the score would take into account that you only recently paid your stuff off. Most banks aren't using this score because it's brand new, but I would be interested in knowing who does. Data points will tell. Here's a list of all the scores available. How the fuck am I supposed to know how to control my exact score if there's a shit ton of them? Do not focus on the exact number of the score. This is a common rookie mistake. Most people freak out about their score moving up or down a few points. A score itself doesn't necessarily matter. You're not gonna get denied instead of approved for something just because you had a 723 instead of a 724. What really matters is your credit report, which is the file of information of all your credit accounts. That's what FICO and Vantage are actually reading to come up with your score. The score is meant to be a ballpark representation of your credit report. I will explain credit score versus report very soon.